Back, we'll hear from the head coach. All of that straight ahead. Minnesota falls to Bowling Green 14-10, and this is Golden Gopher football from their field.
Oh my god. The fucking Gophers just lost at home as 31-point favorites on homecoming weekend to the Falcons of Bowling Green. And I'm delighted because PG Fleck deserves this. I mean, there's no point in talking about the game because the particulars of the game. Because who cares about the particulars of the game? You're 31-point favorites at home. You won 30-0 at Colorado last week, and everyone wanted and PG's out there trying to act like he just won the fucking Rose Bowl. How bad must Colorado be? Jesus fucking Christ! I mean, that's amazing. Like I thought it was kind of bad a couple weeks ago when they couldn't put away Miami of Ohio until the last couple minutes. This. I mean, certainly this is the biggest embarrassment of the PJ Fleck era, and this is a top five all time loss in terms of just humiliation. I'm sure someone will come up with the list of like the Gopher losses when they were the biggest favorites, and they've certainly lost some home games to non-power conference teams. But oh my god, that is it's hysterical to me. I'm laughing. I was absolutely rooting for the Gophers to lose after a certain point because PJ Fleck deserves this. Um, I mean, they weren't getting it done early. It was like 3-0, but they weren't moving on offense. They weren't, you know, the offensive line was being dominated by the mighty Bowling Green pass rush that we've all heard so much about. Um, you know, and like the Gopher defense is doing fine, but of course they're doing fine because they're playing Bowling Green. Um, and the whole fucking thing changed. The whole kind of thing changed. I forget what point it was in the game. It was second quarter, but uh, they got a 4th and 1 on their own end. Gophers do, and they run one of those. I bitch about this. I bitch about this on Vikings videos. I will bitch about this for years. I will bitch about it for years to come. You need a 1 yard. You're 4th and 1. You need to gain 1 yard, and you run a play that requires back to gain, a bunch of yards, and he got thrown for like a 5 yard loss, and Bowling Green gets a short field. They go in, they put one in the end zone. Boom, 7-3, just like that. And they never, that was just mind boggling. Like the only thing you're gonna do in that, the only thing you can do at that spot in the game is to get like Bowling Green in it is to fucking give them a short field, give them a spark, give them momentum, stuff like that. And then Fleck does it. Like there's no reason. Like your defense just pitched a shutout last week. They gave a whole, was it 60 something yards? I mean, trust your defense at least. But I mean, it's 7-3. They get booed off the fucking field at halftime. They come out second half, and the the backup quarterback from Eden Prairie runs one in, and they get the lead back, and you figure, okay, embarrassing game, embarrassing performance, but they're gonna win. And no, that was it. They let alone. Um, they go for a long field goal. I think it was like 50 yards or something. Gophers do. Guy misses it. Bowling Green goes and scores again. Like that. The coaching idiocy of PJ Fleck was on full display in this game. Going for it when you shouldn't, not going for it when you should, kicking field goals when kicking a field goal when you shouldn't, you know, and then like in the fourth quarter, like they it's 14-10. You know, I forget what how much time was left when they got the ball back on this particular drive. It was like maybe 7-8 minutes. They're running like the slowest fucking offense you've ever seen. They burned like 4 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes off the clock, and then they get like a 4th and 8, and I forget where they were on the field. They were kind of near midfield, I think, and he punts. What are you doing? What the fuck? The game decisions by PJ Fleck in this are just astonishing. He punts, and that was it. I mean, they got the ball back, and then Tanner Morgan pick on the first fucking play, I think. They actually get the ball back with like 20, 30 seconds left. Morgan pick, and I mean, that was completely it. I mean, that's kind of like a separate issue. Like, what the fuck happened to this Tanner Morgan? I mean, I never bought it 2 years ago when they were talking him up as some sort of NFL prospect. There were Vikings fans, and anyone who's out there who sees this video, you know you were saying it 2 years ago when Morgan was lighting it up, and you were mad at Kirk because we weren't, dominating the division. That you wanted the Vikings to draft Tanner Morgan and kick Kirk to the curb. Try saying that as fast. Um, oh my god, he's astonishingly bad. But isn't he bad because he was just propped up by having a couple of NFL wide receivers? Although he was fucking terrible last year too. Or is it coaching? Or is it are they have they been just terrible at coaching this guy? But like, if you had any sort of quarterback play, you still eke out this win. They don't. And he's awful. He can't start again. They cannot start this guy again. He's awful. He's gone from, he was a decent enough college quarterback 2 years ago. I never bought that he was. I certainly never bought that he was um, any sort of NFL prospect. But you know, decent enough college quarterback. A lot of college teams win with non-pro level quarterbacks. But I don't know. Maybe you gotta chalk it up to fucking coaching, because it's classic PJ Fleck. They played down to a lot of these non-power school teams, um, including Miami of Ohio just a couple weeks ago. Like, they were bound to finally get burned on one of these, because that's coaching. When you're playing to your level of competition, that's coaching. Because I'm sorry, you got to roll these teams. You play a home game against Bowling Green on homecoming with 31-point favorites. You got to roll that game. Even if they'd won like 20-10, that wouldn't have been enough. No, you have to roll these teams. You want to be taken seriously, you got to roll these teams, and they don't do it, for the most part, unless it's perceived as like a big statement win situation like Colorado. But Colorado is obviously fucking terrible. Um, but I mean, this game was amazing. I mean, they muffed a punt that they were lucky that Bowling Green didn't recover. Bowling Green was driving for a score. They would have been up 21-10. The receiver fumbles it inside like the 10. Like, this could have been like a blowout loss. You rough the fucking punter on a on a punt. Same drive, you get an illegal formation on a fucking field goal try. Like, this is on coaching. Like, you know, in the pros, maybe you chalk this up to, hey, these are professionals. They should be doing. No, this is, when this shit like this happens in a college game, that is on coaching. PJ Fleck is a fucking fraud. I'm sorry, he just is. And I know people love the guy because he talks a bunch of bullshit, and they think if you're a college coach and you talk a bunch of bullshit, that's all you need to do. No, you need to actually win games that matter. And I know people are gonna say, "Ooh, look, 2 years ago." Look at that shit in context. Easy fucking schedule for one thing, and they eked out a couple of early season wins there too. That could have, you know, um, you know, you had a pass into the end zone that could have beat you against Penn State, but it got picked. And then you played you got your ass embarrassed by Iowa, embarrassed by Wisconsin on your home field. Yeah, then you went and played Auburn in the Outback Bowl. You won the game, but give me a break. Auburn, a school like Auburn doesn't give a shit about an Outback Bowl. That game meant so much more to Minnesota than it did to Auburn, and they pump it up like he just won the fucking national championship. It was a nice win. Like I'm saying it wasn't a nice season. Like we don't get seasons like that, but that's one season. He ain't done shit. He has not done shit to warrant the ego that he has, where he acts like he is the fucking messiah of football, and that he is like, you know, the greatest thing that's ever happened to college coaching. Because right now he's just a fucking blowhard who's had one good season with a bunch of recruits who he didn't recruit. I mean, I'm sorry, I wasn't like the biggest Jerry Kill fan in the history of the world, but that was those were Jerry Kill recruits. He didn't you know he's the guy who brought in NFL talent at some of these positions that helped him out. Like, I mean, and he did win at Wisconsin. He beat maybe the worst Wisconsin team we've ever seen. But hey, we beat Wisconsin. That's nice. We got the axe once, but now we've given it back 2 years in a row in in ugly fashion. Um, and like he's gonna feed off that for years to come, probably, because we've been so desperate to even see anything like that with Gopher football. But I'm sorry, like one pop up year ain't enough. It's not enough to justify the ego that this guy has. He's a terrible fucking game coach. He's terrible at in game coaching. He's terrible at prep because it's obvious that a game like this that he didn't put the work in, or he didn't have the players put the work in, or whatever. Because you don't have this shit happen if you know you can have upsets, but you know this shit does not fucking happen if you're a good coach. It just doesn't. Um, and this guy, I say it again, this guy fucking deserves it. PJ Fleck is a fucking fraud, and we're stuck with him because of 2019. We're stuck with him because people are gonna keep coming back to that shit and act like that is the only thing that's mattered. I mean, this is what, his 5th year now, and this season is a disaster. I don't care what they do from here on out. I mean, they're not going to end up. There's no chance this is a successful season because they've got like 2-3 really tough games left that they're not going to win because they can't win them because the PJ Fleck is terrible. So they're going to end up in some mediocre bowl game probably. Maybe they'll win it, maybe they won't. Doesn't matter. Winning a bowl game or not winning a bowl game is so dependent on which team is actually the most interested. Um, but I, fourth quarter, I'm laughing because one, because I didn't go to the game, so I don't have any paying interest. But I'm laughing because this fucking guy deserves it. I'm so tired of the PJ Fleck act. He's a fucking fraud. He's a blowhard who had one good season based on a lot of luck and an easy schedule, and another guy's recruits, and he hasn't done shit else. And it's not that he hasn't done it. He's treated like they treat him like he is freaking Nick Saban around here, or some people do anyway. Maybe that bubble will burst now. It's like he's utterly mediocre coach, and his accomplishments here do not justify the ego, do not justify the bullshit, the elite, the row the boat, all this bullshit. I'm tired of hearing it. until you really accomplish something, until you really show that you've built something, some sort of program, other and not just had one pop up season. Because every fucking program in the Big Ten will have a pop up season. You know, the elites are always going to be winning the Ohio States and Wisconsin's. The other ones always have pop up seasons from time to time. But I don't think their coaches are treated are have the egos that Fleck does and are treated the way Fleck is by a lot of people around here. And there's I can't think of another time I've ever felt like a coach in this town deserved a piece of humble pie, a big slice of humble pie, as much as PJ Fleck did, because he is he's not good. He's just a mediocre coach who got lucky once, and he's never gonna do it again because he's just not good. He's not a good game coach. He's he can go to USC if he wants. I bet they don't want him now, but it's like it's flex frauds, bad, and you know it's going to be a rough rest of the season. Even if they win some games, it doesn't matter. As of right this moment, this season is another failure. Just like last year was a complete failure. You know, whatever the 7 game season, they were awful. You know, they're awful, and they're not going to have any sort of meaningful season this year. They're not going to do anything that matters. And Fleck will, you know, if they had somehow pulled this game out today, Fleck would have pumped it up as like a gritty triumph. It's like fuck off, PJ Fleck. Your act has grown very tired, and you deserved everything that just happened to you today.